What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebrous Infinite, and the Landfall update has finally launched in Generation Zero. You dudes finally have your hands on this update, and I am so stoked that you guys are finally playing this. I've had it for like a week. Honestly, it's the best shit to ever happen to Generation Zero. So, today we've gotten the patch notes with the launch proper. So we're gonna read through these patch notes. There's a couple interesting things in here that I even managed to miss with my week of hands-on here. So we'll take a look at those things as well when we go through this video here. And alongside these patch notes, there's a couple spicy hints towards some things that the development team is planning for the future. So you're gonna want to stay tuned for that. So let's not waste any more time and let's go through these patch notes. There is a lot for us to go through here. So the patch notes read, the Landfall update has finally arrived. The first update in some time, and there's quite a lot that went into this one too. Not only have we added plenty for everyone to enjoy for free, but we also squashed quite a few bugs, both new and old, to get this update to you all. In the meantime, we can have a look into what's arriving in Ostatorn for the Landfall update. For those of you starting up new characters or just landing in the world of Generation Zero for the first time, you'll notice there is a new intro movie that takes over the rolling text at the start of the game. For the veterans of Ostatorn who dare venture into more dangerous regions, new machines are here to freshen up your fights. Now, the really spicy thing that we're going to check out in this video is that intro video. We're gonna check out that intro movie and see what the team cooked up for us here. We'll get to that once we get to the end of this video. But next up are the new Soviet faction enemies, the Wolf. The Wolf is somewhat of a hybrid machine. It transports smaller units to deploy on the battlefield, but also packs its own punch depending on which model you come across in the field. There are 3 different classes to fight and plenty of new weak points to find. And the Lynx. The Lynx might be small, but it's still quite formidable. Its agile design allows for it to be effective in nearly every terrain it comes across, and its speed can catch up with you quickly, so be careful when on the retreat with this one, as they have quite the bite if they get close. I've got a video coming out in just a couple hours of all the ways to take on these dudes and some unique tips and tricks and all of the stuff that I bring. So that will be available in just a couple hours here on my channel. Next up here is world improvements. We continue our efforts with location revamps to spice up the base game for everyone to enjoy. This time around we had 2 targets, Southern Forest Region and the Marshlands as a partial. Here is a sneak peek at some of the work done in those areas. And my dude, seriously, you want to go exploring. The work done in these areas is absolutely incredible. This underground railroad, insane, absolutely bonkers. So definitely, the Iron Church, my dudes, the Iron Church, they're coming. It's crazy. Yeah, dudes, you're gonna want to go out and do all the exploring. With these revamps also come new collectibles in the southern part of the forest region. The backstories attached expand on resistance activities in the region and some of the mysteries found within the world as a whole. There are also new collectibles in the Marshlands region, which could shed some light on the Soviet arrival. Quality of life improvements. The weapon wheel has finally arrived in the Landfall update as well, and I gotta say, my dudes, the freaking weapon wheel, so good, man, so good. So we heard a lot of feedback out there and found this to be the best solution to address as many of the players' needs as we could reach. With this new way to navigate loadouts, you're no longer restricted to 3 weapons at a time. You can mix and match as you see fit, bringing new strategies to any skirmish out there. Next up, we've made quite a few additions to the overall arsenal this past year, with more to come in 2022. So we've already heard about upcoming US weapons pack, potential US weapons pack that might be coming to the game. But beyond that, maybe the team has more cooking in store for us. So we found it best to finally address the capacity of your plunger storage, as well as the recycling bench. With the debut of the Landfall update, you will be able to expand your storage to your growing needs with up to 5 additional levels for each container. And I've got a video on how to expand your station capacity on my channel. There are some additional improvements to help newer players navigate game systems early on. Materials you find now have descriptions to them showing where to typically find them in the world. Potential schematics can now be seen in location summaries as well. Ammo types and weapon matches now have better descriptors in the inventory, giving you a better understanding of what ammo belongs where at a glance. New proportional aim system that automatically scales with the zoom level can be switched with the old system in the game settings. I thought there was something going on with aiming and stuff like that while I was going through things. That's really, really cool, man. But anyway, here for the last thing, in multiplayer settings, it is now possible to define whenever other players can build and destroy buildings in your base. A massive improvement to base building. At least in a co-op sense. For the explorers out there, you'll also notice some improvements in the world to help you in the resistance efforts. Wood is now harvestable in places you would expect to find it. For example, you'll find the sapling when running through forested areas. This is the first step we're taking to iterate on materials you find in the world. There will be more to come, and honestly, I really enjoy this direction. I really like the idea of us picking up the materials and the crafting materials and stuff like that in the world. I really like all of the, steel and rubber and stuff like that we find. These trees are an excellent addition to the forests, and having more things like this across the map, maybe if they're respawnable too, will be absolutely amazing for just casual exploration. You can best bet, dudes, we're going to be talking about this one in the future. But for those of you using your situational awareness to help turn the tides of battle, you'll find there are more aptly tagged objects in the world. EMPs and explosives can be triggered with these world items. Well, these are not exactly new. They are aimed at helping new players understand how to use the environment to their advantage more directly. And this is stuff we've been talking about since year one here on my channel. Things like, the electrical units, fixed fuel cells, the hydrometers on houses, stuff like that, cars, all of that jazz. Next up is the free building pack. With a new iteration of the base defense missions, we also have some new free buildings to go with it. Some of you might recognize these from past dev letters. These should give everyone a more versatile approach to the resistance defenses. And I'm going to have a video on the base defense stuff coming out later on today. Stay tuned. Of course, everything Landfall today on my channel. But right here, we got some very nice screenshots of the reinforced pylon, the scaffolding platform, which, oh, dudes, it's so good. The scaffolding ramp, the decorative hedge, the tall spotlight. Alongside that, tall walls now have this, balcony that meets up with the scaffolding and stuff. It's so good, dude. But the new buildings aren't the only thing that is coming to the base defense experience. Base defense missions have new iterations as well. The waves of machines that attack now have much more variability. You're also able to skip over preparation timers. This is absolutely huge if you're ready at a moment's notice. We've also been observing various points of feedback about base defense and have made the latter difficulties more challenging, which, oh dude, so spicy. Not only has there been quite a few additions to the base game of Generation Zero with the Landfall update, this is also the debut of a larger DLC we've had planned for a while now. One that will help you fend off machine attacks against everything you've built in defense of Ustatorn. The new paid DLC, the Base Defense Pack, for $3.99. So, with the Landfall update, we also released the Base Defense Pack, which contains a bunch of new ways to defend your bases. This includes missile turrets, spiked walls, spiked floors, explosive barrels, human decoys, and the sandbag shooting positions. And they all look amazing. I haven't had a chance to get hands-on with this stuff yet because it's come out just today, but we're gonna have a video on this stuff as well very, very soon. Okay, so now we're going to go through the patch notes proper, and if you don't want to sit here while I read through all of this massive wall of text here, I'm going to have timestamps down below so that you could skip to the end where we go off and check out that new intro clip for the game and just kind of summarize a couple things here. So let's just blaze right through all of these patch notes and talk about just a couple of the things along the way. So first up, for animation, art, and audio, they fixed an issue where footstep sound effects stopped playing for clients during multiplayer, and they fixed an issue with SMod where no reload or footstep sounds were heard in first person. For crashes, they fixed a crash when dismantling structures with base building. A community reported issue here, they fixed a frequent crash in a certain area of Himfell. This is kind of the same thing as the first one, but fixed a crash on dismantling structures during base building. They fixed a continuous crash at the same spot in Scrankable. They fixed a crash in multiplayer for the client when starting Horde mode on hard difficulty, so they mean the wave defense there. They fixed a crash where the host was crashing when far away from the client when playing through the Good News mission. They fixed a crash when the host and clients would crash after the client teleported during wave defense. They fixed a crash during multiplayer where the host was crashing after alt-tabbing. They fixed a crash when players would crash when pressing N to swap ammo. They fixed a crash where the game might crash in Farmlands region during combat, and then they fixed various crashes during combat at multiple locations. For machines, they fixed an issue where tanks had their missile battery only firing 2 rockets instead of the full barrage. They fixed an issue where the Reaper rifle was incorrectly shown as interactable when it had no loot. And lastly, they fixed an issue that would cause rivals to spawn before the terrain, which caused them to die before you were able to reach them. And this is huge. This is a massive fix here to rivals. Now, we do have Soviet machines that can kill your rivals, so you could still have rivals die when you aren't around them, but hopefully from now on, we won't see rivals dying for literally no reason. For the UI, they fixed an issue with an abnormal inventory behavior when starting a new game, which would cause weight to be displayed incorrectly. Another community reported thing here, they fixed an issue where weapons disappeared into loot containers. Players should no longer be able to put items back into loot containers, corpses, or any of that stuff. And then they fixed an issue where scrolling in the Plundra, switching item categories may cause the Plundra interface to behave abnormally. For weapons, they fixed an issue where the US weapons DLC icon only showed on the 3 crown weapons and attachments that come with the DLC. They should now show on all of them. They fixed an issue where shock wires from experimental ammo damaged and downed other players. For community reported, they fixed an issue that allowed infinite ammo while using burst mode with specific weapons. Next up, they fixed an issue where shock ammo wires were appearing although no one had fired any shock bullets. They fixed an issue where shock ammo would still deal damage after having faded out. And then lastly, they fixed an issue with heat ammo where it would show electrical effects on glass windows. Lots of work to the shock ammo, but the nice thing is that, like, you know, no nerfs, nothing like that, just some things to avoid maybe some unintended PvP. For base defense, they fixed an issue with base defense that caused mission fails if one party member fast travels away. They fixed an issue when some machines act passively in multiplayer during base defense. They fixed an issue with the Horde mode mission where the mission gets stuck on hard difficulty. They fixed an issue where the base defense mission would have some machines get stuck outside of the mission area, risking the mission failing when trying to kill them. They fixed an issue where during the base defense, turret base defenses could completely lock down tank and hunter enemies, resulting in them not attacking due to stagger, which is good. That's a good nerf to see here in the base defense. They fixed an issue with base building during multiplayer where the client was unable to repair damaged turrets. They fixed an issue where one could never spawn at the home base after continuing the game. This is a huge one. This right here, this is such a huge one, my dudes. Again, we're going to be talking about it in a separate video, but this one thing opens up base building in such a huge way. It is godsend. Next up, they fixed an issue when machines spawned before the preparation timer is up during hard mode. They fixed an exploit where materials around the home base would respawn every time you restarted the session, so it's good to see that maybe, I guess, they're on a correct timer here or something. They fixed an issue where buildings could change rotation when they're dismantled. And this is kind of okay for fixing the exploit with the wood around the home base, because now we have all those trees off in the forest to gather. Next up, for the world, they fixed various locations on the map where players could get stuck on objects clustered together. They fixed the U-turn bunker where gas damage was damaging the player and parts of the bunker where it shouldn't. They fixed a fence near Garpamar which was missing an end pole. They fixed a suitcase at the Iron Church which had the wrong model and was unlootable. They fixed an issue with some containers at Nyhamnen where one can get stuck in if going inside. All the containers at Nyhamnen seem pretty safe now. They fixed an issue where one can get stuck in fallen debris at the ruined house in Overby Slotten in the farmlands region. Community reported they fixed a floating weapon crate in the barn at Store Dirbo. They fixed an issue with a floating road in Oostervik. They fixed an issue with a floating lamp near the floating house in Oostervik. They fixed an issue with a floating house in Oostervik. They fixed an issue where the edge of Boo Bridge lacks collision. Part of the bridge near Sundgard Farm also lacked collision, so they fixed that too. They fixed an issue with an invisible gate at Moskar. They fixed an issue with stretched terrain and seam holes at Skelberget in the forest region, floating rocks at Derboslaten, fixed stones clipping through the floor in the building in the south coast region, rocks, floating mailboxes, lots and lots of world fixes here. For assignments, they fixed an issue where the assignment's FMTEL reward trunk cannot be interacted with, and this new reward trunk is going to be a game changer, dudes. And then they fixed an issue where the destroy 5 ticks with a handgun assignment could not be completed. Hopefully all the other assignments are working really well too. I'm super excited to break into that reward trunk. In general, they fixed an issue with the anniversary event related loot not dropping according to the loot table design. They fixed an issue that caused some players to get stuck progress with completing the mission spiking the guns. They fixed an issue with experimental consumable crafting where the screen flashes red when being healed by healing ammo. It should not do this now. They fixed an issue where selective active specializations would not save and would default to the last acquired specialization. They fixed an issue where bullets would often remain floating after shooting. They fixed an issue where one was unable to pick up a letter to get the side mission in Ibaholmen Church. They fixed an exploit with ammo packs and paramedic response packs that became infinitely usable by fast traveling back and forth via field radio. That was me. That was me. And then lastly, they fixed an issue where the experimental KVM 59 was not dropped by the Reaper. As for a couple known issues here, the Wolf can sometimes get stuck on terrain objects, and some FMTEL assignments are not working as intended. We are already working on a hotfix to address this. Big fat like. Alright dude, so we are firing up the game here to check out this intro video. Very stoked. Very unexpected. This was something that I totally didn't know about until I read the patch notes there, so I'm super stoked to see what the team's cooked up here. I know that people in the community have asked for cutscenes quite a bit here, so this might potentially just kind of wind up being the answer to that. Alright, let's pop through, delete all our characters here. Goodbye, my dudes. Goodbye, sketchy mule. Alright, let's fire up a new character. And just pop on in. Let's see. Okay, dude. Oh, okay. Dude. The Total Defense Program. Heck yeah. I'm actually digging this, man. The red, the ambience and energy. It seems like the rolling text is still pretty much the same. Very interesting, though. Bold colors, very bold color use. Dude. Dude! Injured, but alive. Sick! I very much like that, man. And then do we just pop in? As per usual? Oh, and it also starts us off with, like, lowered health and everything. Dude! Awesome! Sick! And it seems like, oh man, great, that was something that I kind of wanted to test here too for the video. If the current approach for starting a new game is still the deal, and it seems like it is. Let's go check the plunger really quick. Alright, let's see. Nice, yeah, so it does still work. Alright, so there we go. There are all of the patch notes, all of the improved fixes. This is such a crazy update, my dudes. To say it's the biggest update of all time for Generation 0 is a massive understatement. It's like we got Generation 0 1.5 here in an update. It's crazy. It's so good. Hopefully you all are enjoying it and having a blast here in the Landfall update. So we're going to be having a stream today for the Landfall update where you can hang out with me live and chat with me about the update and everything, so stay tuned for that. But for now, my dudes, stay awesome, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.